Hey, boys and girls, welcome back to another edition of Crush Lusha Television. Okay, so we are going to go over some slow fields and differential equations today. So here is the warm-up for your class on Monday, right before the test. Okay, so you have number one, you have to complete the slope field. And here's your differential equation. Differential equation means you just have a derivative, is xy to the third. And then the last, you have to find the particular solution, y equals f of x, when given the initial condition f of 2 equals -1. Okay, so I want you to do both of these and see if you can do it. All right. So, oh, by the way, so when you do your test on Tuesday, you have to have your initials, your AP ID, and the page number on top of every page. And you can go have up to 5 pages when you do your work. So this is on top of every page. So for the next one, it would be initials, APID, and then page 2. Okay, so I would just write this down on the top of a few pages so you don't have to write it when you take pictures and upload your stuff. Okay, so let's do this first. So we have to do a slope field. We have to do a little charty chart. Make sure we have it. So we got X, Y, and then your slope that I'm going to graph. So, I don't know, let's start right here, -1, -1. So that's going to be -1 times -1 to the third. So that's going to be -1 times -1 times -1 times -1 is -1, which is +1. Bam. So this is +1 right there. So let's go -1, 0 next. So that's -1. And then 0 to the third, which is just 0 times anything is 0. So anytime y is 0, right? This is y is 0, the whole thing is going to be 0. And also, if x is 0, like this, like 0, 1, for example, that's going to be 0 times 1 to the third, which is also 0. So it looks like anytime x or y is 0, you have 0 slope. So these 1, 2, 3, 4, those are all 0. Bam. Okay, what do I need to find out? -1, 1. -1, 1 is going to be -1 times 1 to the third, which is 1 times -1, which is -1. So -1 here. And 1, 1, that's 1 times 1 to the third, which is 1. You have to be very careful when you do this. If you just mess up one of these, sometimes they take off all the points. So just be very careful and deliberate with what you're doing. So every single one matters. And you have to do it all 9. So if it has 9 dots, you can do all 9. This is 1, -1. Just 1 times -1 to the third. -1 to the third is -1 times 1, which is -1. So this is -1. Kind of looks like this, kind of like a little angry face, a little scrunched up. Okay, so that is part A. That's of the warm-up. All right, part 2, I crossed out part B of the free response because that was silly, but we're going to do this one because this one's generally worth the most points. So you have dy dx equals x, y to the third. So we have to go from the derivative to the y. So we need to do the antiderivative. So we got to first separate. So multiply by dx on both sides. So I get dy equals xy to the third dx. Now I'm going to get the wise guys over there. Get the wise guys. Ooh, wise guys. So dy over y to the third equals x dx. So I separated, that's generally a point. So now I'm going to write this as y to the -3rd, dy equals x dx. And that's going to help me find my integral. So now I just do the reverse power rule. So add 1, so that's -2, right? So it's y to the -2, and then you divide by the -2. You divide by the new exponent. Equals, add 1, 1 plus 1 is 2, and then you divide by the new exponent right there, plus c. Oh, I keep breaking my pencil. Plus c. So this is 1 over, so it's -1 over 2y squared is this one, because I can put the negative anywhere, because negative divided by positive is a negative. So I don't have to have it on the denominator. I can have it out front or on the top. It doesn't matter, because a negative divided by a positive or positive divided by a negative is still a negative. And y to the negative 2, I put it down here, equals x squared over 2 plus c. All right, looking good. Now we're going to get our initial condition going. So we got f of 2. I keep bringing this pencil. Damn. Where was this one? This one right? Okay, this one's right. Sorry. F of 2 equals -1. So this is x, this is y for this one. So y is -1. -1 for y and 2 for x. So -1, this is +1, so this is just -1/2. And this is 4 divided by 2, which is just 2. So subtract 2. So I can do a little fraction action, -1, 2, minus 2. So that's -4 over 2. Because 4 over 2 is the same as -2, right? So it's going to be -5 over 2 is C. Cool. So, doing good. So it's -1 over 2y squared equals x squared over 2 minus 5 over 2. Sorry, can't see that. There you go. So all I did was I replaced this. Where's my equation? And then I got C, put it right in there. Now, last thing, I got to solve for y. Solve for y. So one of the things, see this 2 on every denominator? So if I multiply this whole thing by 2, I'm going to go 2 divided by 2 is 1, and then 2 divided by 2 is 1, and then 2 divided by 2 is 1. So I just eliminate all the 2's that way. All right, so now I get this negative, so I'm going to divide all this by negative, which means that you basically just change the sign. So I'm going to multiply this by -1, multiply this by -1. Negative times negative is positive. And then this is negative times negative is positive. Positive times negative is negative. Alrighty then. So now, So now I need to get this on the numerator. So essentially what you do when you get this on the numerator, so I'm going to write the reciprocal of this, and then the reciprocal of that. So you can flip the numerator and denominator like this. You can do it by cross multiplying and dividing, but this is just a quicker way of doing it. So now the y squared is on the numerator, so now you just square root both sides. Square root both sides. When you square it, you get plus or minus. What am I going to use the plus and the minus? Where do I look? Yeah, I look at my y, and y is negative. So y equals negative radical 1 over 5 minus x squared. There you go. And so this is your initial condition put into your y equals equation. So there we go. So that's part 2, and here's part 1. Nice job. Notice how I got this. So if I go to another page, I'm going to write this on the top. I should already have it already written. Okay. Great job, everybody. Take care.